tuning in again. Today's the day. The mailman has finally delivered our package. Like I've been going on and on about 2,000 subscribers, we ordered the tune. I did order it as soon as we hit the 2K mark. Of course, we're higher than that now. It's been a couple weeks in between getting the car dynoed and getting the tune on, which you would have caught in the last video. But what I didn't tell you guys is to go along with the tune, I also ordered an intake for the car, cold air intake. So I'll flip you guys around. I'm sure by the title you know what it is, but I'll show you what's all coming with the package, and then we'll get her installed on the car and see how it looks. So here it is, guys. We went with the JLT Cold Air Intake. This is everything. All comes nicely packaged in a little box. It's a really little box. If you pull the paper out, that is your filter. You can see, oiled filter. You can wash them, reuse them, recharge them, or whatever you want to call it. But one day when we get to that point, I'll make a video on how to do that. But for now, she's nice, fresh, right out of the package. So we'll be good to go. And then in the rest of the box, I'll show you the parts as we go along, but basically same thing, just rip out your paper. You know, you got your inlet tube, JLT, that's who we went with. You got your box, obviously. It comes with your different fittings and gaskets and stuff that you need. Everything all nicely packaged in the box. The one thing I like is that the little rubber or foam rubbery gasket piece to go around is already installed. I've installed a couple where you have to do it yourself, and just to cut it and do all that, just a hassle, especially with all the weird little lines. If they mess it up, you know, they throw it out, put a new one on to make their product look good. Whereas if you got to do it, they'll send you one length. If you mess it up, that's on you. So one less headache. So thumbs up to JLT, but for now, we will start ripping out this bad boy. Okay, so there are plenty of videos of this online already. Pretty much one of the simplest mods you can do yourself. I know some people will still pay somebody to do it, but you know, if you got a couple simple tools, it's, you know, a half an hour job in your garage, you'll have her done. Pretty much all you got to do, anything that is connected to the tube or holding down your filter and the cover obviously has to be removed. I would start with this. This is your sensor. You don't want to be messing around with that. You want to just unplug it, get it out of the way, put it somewhere safe. Then you could even just put this right into the JLT one, then it's in there. You know, if anything drops or bumps or whatever, you're not going to break your sensor, because if you break that, then you're hooped. Other thing you got to do here, just little clips. They're all little push clips. And you can see on this one, if you push here, you look on this side, when you give it a little squish, you can see the arms open up. So you just push and pull at the same time. Easier with two hands. I'll show you when we get going to get it off. Same thing. It's kind of hard to see because it's dark. There's one in here. Has a blue clip just like the guy over here. You just slide the blue clip over and it pops right off. And then your clamps are 7mm, or if you have a flathead, you can also undo it with a flathead screwdriver. And then just a couple bolts holding down the intake itself are 10mm, and that is pretty much all you need to install the whole thing. So I'll set up the GoPro and we will get at her. Okay, so to start the whole thing off, like I said, I always would go and get your sensor off first. There's a little clip underneath, just pull out, and then that will slide right off, just like that. You can see the clip is what I mean. Goes in, it'll lock it, just kind of keeps the forks in there. This is attached to your car here and attached to the box here. So what I have is just a little pry tool. You can use a flathead too. Just cram it in there, give it a pull, put that to the side because you'll have to plug her in later. And like I said, first thing first, get this out of the way. 20 Torx bit, if you have it. It's kind of probably the only tool that you might not have, or that everybody might not have on hand to do this. But two little Torx screws in there, unscrew them, Don't lose anything. I believe JLT sends new bolts to put this into theirs, but just in case, I haven't looked that close yet, don't lose the bolts. You can see, pull it out. Remember, it only will fit one way, but you can see it will go back in that way, not shiny side up, shiny side down. So put that somewhere safe. I'll just stick it right here, nowhere to be bumped, don't have to worry about anything. And then, like I said, this guy, you squeeze and those two arms open up and then just kind of wiggle and push. And you can see, comes right off. Same with the one down here. Got a little blue clip. You just kind of squeeze and pull. Okay, got it off. It is a little stiffer than I was expecting, but you do just kind of push and wiggle and pull and it will come off. It does move, so just turn that one up there, it's out of the way. Now mine, I deleted the sound tube a long time ago, which is this extra little clamp you see here. If you don't have your sound tube off, you'll have it coming out this way and it goes into the firewall. If you're gonna remove it, just undo it here, undo the clamps. I think there was 2 or 3 clamps along. Give it a yank, it'll come out of the firewall, and then you can keep going with the rest. And if you want to put this back on, I will show you how to do that once we get the JLT intake in. All right, so now that we got all that out of the way, one thing I forgot to mention is obviously I took my engine cover off as well. If your cover's still on there, you can kind of wiggle it and get in there to get this off, but it's just easier if you take it off. And it's just 2 bolts, one here, one here. Take those off. It has a little cover on top. You have to take your oil cap off and then it just kind of pops out. You might also have to loosen off your strut tower to get the back off, but if it's in your way, one more step you got to do. So now for the next part is the clamps. This one we don't have to worry about because obviously this whole thing is coming off in one. So we just got to get down in here, get your little ratchet, just a 7 mil, and loosen her off. And no, I don't have fancy impact and everything. I do my stuff by hand. So it takes a little longer, but it's for fun in my opinion. Then you got your 2 clips here to get this off. And then this whole shebang should all come off in one go. If I have it all unplugged proper, get that off just wants to be a pain in the butt. And there you go. That, you can hear the dirt falling out of there, so it's clearly working. But that is what you are left with. And like I said, this here would be your sound tube if you still have it. But this will be set aside. I do keep the parts usually, just in case. Let's see what our filter looks like. This is 2 years old. I've never opened it. And it's not too horrible, actually. Looking pretty fresh still. A couple bugs in there, some leaves, feathers maybe. But overall, not too bad. I know you can get high flow air filters as well. Some people just swap out the filter instead of the whole box, and it seems to work. Okay, and now that we got all that out of the way, we got to just come over here. You have one 10 mil bolt. Get that out. Like I said, there's not much that holds this down at all. So loosen that. Comes right out, and then it should give her a little pull, come right out. Just lift and pull outwards, because you also do have the inlet tube. You can see it's got a little rubber gaskety guy on there. Okay, now like I said, you do need to keep the rubber off of this just to keep it for the JLT one to sit on properly. This one has your little metal guy in there. Just get your fingernail in, pull it out, because you need to kind of squish this rubber one to get it off of the stock box. So you can just kind of push, pull, do whatever you need to do to get her out. If you got a little bench, of course it's easier to do this on the bench, but just like that. Then this, same thing, don't put the metal piece in, you'll put it in your JLT box. You also need this one, comes off a lot easier, just push it off. And that actually goes in the little hole here, just sit it in, that's all you need. Okay, one extra little tidbit before we get the JLT box in there is this little cutout. Once we set up that one, is the same, and it actually goes in here. If you look, you can see back there, it lines up and goes around that, and then there's a little cutout in the grill. So when you get the JLT box in there, you got to kind of slide it in this way and make sure you get around that piece so you don't have any air leaks. You want everything that you can to be coming into the box, obviously. So whatever you can do, the better you get it on the little whatever you want to call it there. It's a weird shape. Just make sure it stays all on there. And second note, some people talk about cutting the grill up front. And what I mean by that is the intake part, if you look here, is really only like, 6, 7 little holes there. Some people talk about getting a little Dremel or something and cutting out all the extra ones that are blocked here, but it's not really going to catch anything because it does come through that little tube. And if you look here, you can see that is the sand and gunk that was in the bottom of that box that the car picks up even just through those couple little holes. So for myself, obviously the filter's good, but the less of that crap you can keep out, the better. So I'm not going to be going and cutting more holes and trying to pick up more stuff. Okay, so now that we're getting to the JLT stuff, like I said, I want to get the sensor in there first. So you're going to get a bag of goodies like this. You can see a couple clamps in there, this stuff, and there's a little plug. That is for if you are going to drill your sound tube back on. You actually have to drill it. You'll get a hole saw or anything, and you actually have to make a hole here. They don't make it stock, and that is basically your seal to go around here. We aren't going to use that. The plug is for the one in the firewall in the back, but like I said, we're not using it. Ours is long gone, so put that in the bag. It'll be garbage later. You'll also get your little rubber coupling for your throttle body, 1/2 on here, 1/2 on there. That's where the big and little clamps are for. But what we're after right now is this. And like I said, JLT does send their own little screws. I was right about that. All right, so what you get is 2 little Phillips head screws. Like I said, you get a little gasket here, and then our sensor is here. And remember, we said the shiny side was down. So you just take this, slide it over, and you can see the holes will line up perfectly. And then we'll just drop her into the JLT tube here. It's all made nice. Everything should fit snug. When you put these in, you don't want to reef on them. You're not trying to be Incredible Hulk putting these on, because you will end up breaking something. So just find the hole, put that one in, not super tight. Find this one, same thing. Find the hole, screw her down. You don't need it super tight. You just want it snug. That's why they send the gasket with it. And just when you get to the point where it starts to tighten up, you can see we're getting a little wave there, means we're tightening it up good. Just keep her going, and she is all set. All right, so now that we got the sensor in there, it's all safe. We don't have to worry about that anymore. For the inlet tubes, you can see, don't worry about this one. It does actually turn, because obviously when we took that off, this was over here. So if you're freaking out and it's on that side, don't go, oh my God, they sent me the wrong one, because this actually moves. So just get it roughly where you think it'll be. And you can actually see the JLT's tube is so big that they were having issues with the hood closing. So if you look at it, I don't know if you guys can really see on camera, it slopes really sharply here and it's kind of flat. And then same on the bottom side, you can see it's got a little concave part there, and that's just to go around the shroud for your fan here, because once that's on, they have to get it as low as they can go, because it'll sit like that. And that was just to gain the extra couple millimeters so the hood will close without squishing into your tube. All right, so the JLT box actually comes in two parts. You get your little intake part here, where you can see it's got the same cutout as the factory one I showed you guys. And it's also got two tiny little nipples here, one on the bottom. Basically what you want is that will be in there like this. You put the one behind as it falls over on you guys, and then the two will just line up like that. You'll have one on the inside, one on the outside, and that just keeps it from blowing in or out. It is a bit of a pain in the butt. I've been messing around with it for a couple minutes. You just gotta find the sweet spot. I find put it on an angle like that worked the best for me to get it started. And then just kind of push and pull and swear, and it will go in. All right, so that was a way bigger pain in the butt than I thought it would be, but this is it started. I went from the inside out. That's what they say to do. Pretty much what I did was I got the bottom started, and then just hold here, get your hand in there, and just squish it down until that pops up. Thing that doesn't help is they kind of grease this down. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's slippery in there, so it's like a slip and slide. But you just get it started. Once it's in there, then she goes in easy, and you just keep giving it a push until you want one of those clips to pop out onto the other side, and that stops this thing from being able to come back out of there. So that'll be the other pain in the butt part now. Just put it somewhere, not on the car, where you can give it a push. All right, so I got her in. You can see now, one on that side, one on this side. It doesn't go anywhere. Last but not least, what you need is that rubber grommet we took out earlier. Rounded side goes up. So flip that around, just poke this in through the bottom. Make sure you don't drop it or lose it, like I just did. Attempt number 2. This is much easier with 2 hands, but I'm trying to hold this in the light for you guys at the same time. Just squish it in there. It will do a little pop once it's in. You can see it starts to mushroom out. There you go, it's in. Then take your metal piece that goes inside, because that'll be what your screws back into. And then, just like the stock one came out, this slides in like this. And then you got to get your head down there so you can line up your tube with that piece that was in there that I showed you earlier. And then we'll throw the bolts back in, get the tube on, filter in, and we are done. All right, so once the box is in, I got the tube on. You can see, just put your coupler, make sure you get, this is the clamp for that side, make sure you get it all the way onto your throttle body. Tighten that one down, and then start focusing on the rest of this. Your filter, when you get to that point, one piece has the little metal strip that they want pointed down. So when that bolts onto here, you point it down, tighten your clamp, you're good to go. And then for this, what I didn't mention is JLT actually thinks ahead. They got a little tiny hole there. That is for this to plug back into. So it sits like factory. You can see this does end up just a smidge short. So what you can do is this is just like a knockoff kind of zap strap-ish thing. So you can actually pull. I'll do it when I got 2 hands. But you can kind of just feed extra little bit of slack and then it'll plug right back in. So I'll do that and then I'll show you what she looks like when she's all done. And then we don't forget this will clip back onto there. The other one is down here and I tucked it behind there. So we'll get all that stuff plugged back in and I'll show you what she looks like when it's done. All right guys, and there you have it. It is all done. Like I said, I just moved this cable over just slightly, maybe a centimeter. Plugs right in. Make sure you push your red clip in underneath. That way it's locked. The foam block here you can either put in or don't. It's up to you. It's just to stop as much air from coming from the engine bay into the actual filter, letting the hot air in. And a couple of the things I noticed doing this is this here, the clamp. You actually had to turn the little bracket part there to make it fit because it was off whack from where the other one was. And then same with the bottom one here. Might be hard to see, like a kind of crappy lights, but you just have to fudge with it a little bit and it will go. It's just not, you know, it's not the stock box, so it's not exactly lined up stock, but it's pretty simple. Like I said, the hardest part was getting the little intake tube piece on there. One other thing I noticed for this is if you have a Mustang, you know the little magic plug that is down in there now. You can kind of maybe sort of see it. That's the one you unplug to make everything turn off. When we dyno the car, we unplug that. When you're racing, it just stops it from going in limp mode and everything like that. But a little bit more of a pain in the butt to reach with this filter or intake. Cold air intake. It's been a long day. I worked all night. Don't mind my messed up videos here. But you'll have to just kind of fish it around in there to unplug it if that's your thing. And other than that, we're good to go. Okay guys, here you go, all installed. This is what she looks like. Overall, pretty easy install. Hoses come off easy, sensor comes out easy, everything comes off easy. Putting it in, it's very similar, everything just clips back together. Biggest pain was of course the little part to connect to where the air comes in through the grill to suck it into the intake. So that was a bit of a pain to get it started in there, but once it's in, it slides in and out really easily. Other thing you got to take into account is the hood. When you close the hood, before I could just drop her down and it would close, but you see now, and that's because this is much bigger. Like it has a flat spot here. It should be, you can see how it moves way down there, but because of the coupler here, it's almost a little too small in my opinion. It should go down, but because of that, I'll probably take it off. Maybe I'll try to adjust it a little more. Hopefully I can get it to drop, but the hood does still close. You just got to give it a little bit of a drop, and it does close on its own still. So overall, pretty easy. I'm happy with it. Sounds good. I'll put a little clip here. I took a couple of revs. You guys might be able to hear it in the camera if the exhaust isn't too loud. So there you have it. Let me know if you can even hear anything in the video. I know the car is pretty loud, but you can hear a little bit of the sucking in the car, not so much, but when you really lay on it, you can kind of, does have a little bit, you can hear it. I'm sure if you have the sound tube, it might pop through there a little more. I'm not sure exactly how all that works. Hopefully the wind's not picking up too much in the camera right now. But for now, I am waiting on the revised tune. We did a bit of data logging. Stay tuned for that video. I also have a IAT video coming out, the inlet air temps. I took it before we got all this going, and I'll do an after now. So stay tuned if you want to see. I know people say open box sucks in a lot more hot air than closed, which I can tell you right now is true, but you'll be surprised by the results. So stay tuned for that, and many more to come. Once we get the other tune put on there, I'm gonna open her up, because I haven't opened it up even all the way yet. I'm just being patient just in case. Lund tunes are very good. I'm sure it's fine, even the one they sent me. But just to be on the safe side, I'll send it back. They can take one little quick look, make any minor adjustments if they have to, and then we'll be back at her. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, stay tuned. We got lots more coming, lots planned, and hopefully you guys enjoy everything coming up. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one.